These are not around. Next week we have Monday, Friday. Wisconsin, yeah, it is. Yeah. Hopefully you get all wrapped up in that stress and you have a nice vacation. I'm pretty good at
Well, good evening, everybody. Good to see everybody back. I see lots of long sleeve shirts today. It's kind of weird. It's almost July, and it's still like in the 60s. So, welcome. This is Invest NWI. If you're here for a wedding or something else, you're in the wrong place. This is, my clicker doesn't want to work today. The Premier Investment Club here in Northwest Indiana. We started this back in the beginning of 2017 to bring together investors of all different levels for an environment for relevant real estate education, and as well as a place to grow your personal network. The biggest thing, I was in a lot of groups, both locally and in the Chicago suburbs, and a lot of groups that I went to, a lot of their speakers were trying to sell stuff. You know, so I'm driving an hour to these groups in Schaumburg. I went to one out there, and you go, and the topic was really good, or at least the title of the topic was good. And so I had high expectations, and then you go and they give you a little bit of really, really juicy stuff, but then to get to meat and the potatoes, you got to buy their program. Like, well, this is stupid. This is a waste of time. I don't want to pay to listen to someone talk about, you know, hey, buy my program for $9.95 today, and I'll teach you how to design the best kitchens. I didn't want to pay for that. So I'm like, I saw the need for a group that just talked. And didn't really necessarily get anything out of that. So that's why we started this, was to teach. And also, I know my real estate career really took off when I got started through the relationships that I met in some of the local groups. So that was the idea behind this group. A couple of the benefits, the big thing is just experience and the networking that you get. Everybody here has something different that they can share. So that's a big value to the group. Education through the monthly speakers. Great place to get connected. We have attorneys that come, we have accountants, we have project managers, property managers, real estate agents, guys that do rentals, guys that do flips. So if you're looking to learn more in a specific area, there's someone in the group that does that. Also a place to get deals done. Real quick disclaimer here. The material presented by the speaker is for educational purposes only. It's not legal advice, so don't take it that way. The content is a recollection of the speaker's personal experiences, their successes and failures, and you should definitely consult with your professionals prior to engaging in any activities here. We're going to talk a little bit tonight about the Facebook group that we have, and I just want to be clear in there, people in that group ask for help all the time. Who do you know who does this? Who's a contractor who does this? The group Invest NWI, we're not endorsing anyone when people give a recommendation. That's their own experiences. So make sure you do your own due diligence when you're using someone else, someone in the Facebook page or here tonight is recommended. That's a quick summary. Who did something in the past month? And Tom, help me out. If you have, just stand up. Anyone sell something, bought something? Nobody? Y'all took a vacation? Eddie?
I sold a package of 4 properties I had. One was in a self-directed IRA. I had to finally capitalize on that. Two were free and clear. The Roth IRA was free and clear. And got to do that one.
That was your Roth IRA that sold one?
Yeah.
Okay. So all that profit goes back into that Roth IRA and you're not taxed on it? That's pretty cool. Who else did something this past month?
Sold a 4-3 in Hammond for $195.
For how much?
Sold a 4-3 in Hammond for $195.
Whoa.
Eric Holtzman is the appealer.
He has one under contract for like $250.
211.
211?
He sold his on 211 and it freaks out.
There you go. That's crazy. He added like a second story. I'll have him. I'll have him talk about that. Who else did something? Someone did something. Evan sold a few houses. Anyone?
Did a flip in all 4 seasons. Put on market one day, got a contract the next.
Really? What type of house? Quad, tri, ranch?
Yeah, try.
Okay. What did it go for?
We sold it for $249. You'll pay $95 for it.
There you go. It closed yet?
Closed right away.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
that was a good one.
We just listed one out there today.
I got another one I'm listing it next week too over there.
Okay.
Got 2 of them from a lawyer.
There you go. That place sells fast.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting to get multiple offers tonight. My phone email's probably blowing up on that house. Anyone else have something they did? Sold? Awesome. We don't do this often, but I wanted to do it today because we have a lot of guests. If you're a guest and you want to say hi, you can say your name, where you're from, and what type of investing you do. And we'll get you the mic for that.
Hi, my name is Jared. I live actually in Worcester, just moved to the area from Chicago. I buy and sell land in Florida. I also work for retwister.com, which is a website that predominantly teaches people how to wholesale land. So it's my first meeting, I'm hoping to be a regular face. So.
Good evening. My name is Dave Leland. I head up a company called Gold Coast Funding in Schererville, and I represent a wholesale lender for commercial properties, all real estate, all wholesale. So if you have a deal that's not bankable, not able to do it the credit union, maybe just give me a call. I'm going to be signing up, not tonight, but next week, or next month. So, okay. Thank you.
Any other guests want to say hi? Just stand up and Tom will get you the mic.
I'm Dave Woodward, I'm with Century 21 actually, but I just started a new company called Smart Homes, which means we come into the house and we put in your Nest thermostat, your Ring doorbell, your Alexa home, and smart lights, smart switches, whatever you want. And we just started that, I just started that business this past month, so anybody interested, come get my card.
Hi, my name is Lori Bardaszewski. This is my husband, Marcin. This is our first time here. We are in rental properties, and we want to get into flipping and wholesaling and commercial.
Thanks for coming.
Hello, everybody. My name is Edwin Sims from Gary, Indiana. I'm a contractor that works out there, and I'm just trying to get to the right information so I can
Hi, I'm Alice Jenkins. My husband, Tom Jenkins. We're with Good Property Solutions. We're here in Northwest Indiana. We do wholesaling predominantly, but we've also found that by wholesaling we can keep the good ones and some of the good ones and turn them into buy and hold and do some rentals. So we just bought, I guess it's January, we closed on a house on 165th and Parish and rehabbed it and just rented it. But we're glad to be here. It's our first time. Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Eric Zoso, and I'm in co-working. So I started a co-working space in Valpo 5 years ago. I'm still doing that. And then I've launched another co-working space that kind of crashed and burned. So I've got some experience on that side too. And I also got a little house rehab project. And then like a matchmaking service of good renters for like legit landlords. So reward the good ones. Makes sense, but that's a little side project. But glad to be here. It's my first time. Looking forward to meeting a lot of people. Thanks.
Any other guests want to say hi?
My name is Jacob Myrtle. I live in Portage, Indiana, and I want to get into renting. I want to buy a house, fix it up, live in it, and rent out the current house I'm in.
Hi everyone, I'm Heather Bolt with the Rossi and Taylor Realty Group. I sell in Illinois and Indiana.
All the guests sat on this side today. Any guests on this side?
name's Ariel Strickland, Reynolds. My daughter, our destiny, we're gonna get into flipping.
She does the flipping for you.
Awesome. Anyone else want to say hi? First time guests. If you bring a guest, you do get a raffle, and we'll do that in a second here for some cool swag that we have.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Adam Lopalitz. My wife Joanna. We're both realtors, both Indiana and Illinois. So I just wanted to say hi.
Hi. All right, if you have your phone, open up Facebook. Who does not have Facebook?
I have now.
What?
I have another.
You have an announcement? Okay.
Gary Newell brought me here, and she just had a baby girl, Cora.
That's
was just born.
Ooh, that's cool. Congratulations, Terry. I didn't even realize she was pregnant. She does a lot for me.
You can't tell.
So if you have your smartphone, open up your Facebook app. Find Invest NWI Investor Group. You can put that in the search bar. The group will come up. You definitely want to join this group. I will approve you. And if you got an approval denied, it's because we don't have any mutual friends or you have a really vague Facebook profile. I'm starting to try to monitor who is being in the group because we have people that are in the group that then try to post stuff that isn't in the best interest of you guys seeing it, people that I believe are probably scammers and stuff. So if you invite someone to the group, make sure that they at least have some friends in common with people in the group and they're investors or want to be. Because if they look like they have a fake profile, I probably won't approve them unless they send me a specific message first. But if you're not part of the group, you definitely want to join that. We talked about our upcoming speakers, any special events. The biggest thing is it's a place to grow your network. You can ask questions, ask help analyzing a deal. These are some of the posts that went on this past month. Justin posted about an article that HUD had, strengthening their assistant animal requests. You can see that we had people asking for contractors for tuck pointing, pest control, drywall guys. We probably have 3 or 4 posts like this every day where it's, hey, who do you know who does this? Hey, I'm having this issue with this tenant, what should we do? So again, it's just a great place. The people that are being recommended for, say, pest control, I'm assuming if you're recommending that person, you've used them and you've had good success with them. So instead of going in the yellow pages trying to find a company that you don't know anything about, you know, these recommendations hopefully have done legitimate work. So definitely want to be part of that. I want to talk about the membership real quick here. We've put a lot of time and money into building out the website. And that's a big part of the membership because I understand, especially as we roll into summer and the temperatures warm up and the Cubs actually get back on track and the White Sox get above 500, you may not be able to make it here. That's okay, I'm a Red Sox fan and they're not doing all that well this year, but I think it's because they have so many rings that it's hard to hold them all up. We won't talk about the Patriots either. But we understand you may not be able to make it here. All of our meetings are recorded and they're on the website. So if you're a member, you can log in whenever you want, watch a meeting that you missed. We're streaming this live on Facebook in a private page just for members. So if you can't make it, you can watch it live. We have videos going all the way back to 2017. So in addition to that, if you're a member, you get a magazine. I don't have one, but we have them every meeting. If you aren't here for a meeting, we have a bunch of extra at the office, so if you miss one, just come and pick it up there. And we also do a bunch of other stuff for the members. So it's $120 for an individual, $160 for a couple. So well worth it. If you don't want to do that, you don't get any of that stuff. You can't watch the videos online, and you just pay as you come. Morgan, do you have the raffles for people who brought guests? Who brought a guest? 1, 2, 3. Okay, way better than last month. We'll have a fun raffle today. Coffee cup, and whoever the first one is, just run up and pick something. These are new water bottles that we got. They have a little hook. It's kind of cool. And then this book called Extreme Ownership, How U.S. Navy SEALs Lead and Win. Anyone read this book? Like 4 people in here. It's a fantastic book. All right. I don't know who these are, so I'm just going to randomly pick. I'm going to read the last 4. 6568. 6568. Do people just disappear? They come in, they bring their guests. You got it? There you go. Come on up. How about 6648? 6648. Got a winner. 6566.
Yeah!
I need my grass cut and seeded. Yeah.
I don't cut, I see.
You just do the seeding?
Yeah.
Okay. I need a lot of seed. I have a half an acre too. It'll take a long time. We do that every month. So if you want to bring a guest, sometimes we have stuff like that. Sometimes we have gift cards. Sometimes we have one-on-one mentoring. We do a lot of different options for that. All right. So on Monday, Justin posted in our Facebook page that we're no longer going to approve posts for people looking for private money. We've had people, hey, I'm buying this house, 100 grand, I'm gonna give you 13%, 2 points, I need it for 6 months. We are not going to approve those posts. And we had a lot of people message us and complain and cry like a lot of people do occasionally. Here's the reason why, and this is probably the biggest one here. Actually, both reasons are pretty big. My company does a lot of private lending, and one of the things that we're in the process of doing, so we can do some things that we haven't been able to do yet, is we're meeting with an SEC attorney to put together some paperwork to do some additional things. And I won't get into that tonight because it's a whole seminar in itself. But last Monday I was down in Indianapolis with the 2 attorneys talking. Each attorney is only $525 per hour, and I spent 2.5 hours with them, so it was an expensive meeting. But we put together some of the framework for what we're going to be doing and started to get the documentation rolling. And we talked a lot about what the SEC will allow you to do and things that are big red flags for them. One of their big red flags is what's called general solicitation. And this usually occurs online. And this is when you're posting online, whether it's on your website, on a Facebook page, in some sort of forum on like Bigger Pockets or something like that, that you're looking for money. You're trying to raise money. They consider that selling securities. And I'm not going to get into all the different statutes and codes. You can look that up and talk to your own attorney. But they are not a fan of general soliciting online. Their big thing when you're going to borrow money from people is you have to have a substantial relationship with that person. And that's a big part of private lending. If I don't know RL and I'm going to go borrow money from him, the SEC is not going to like that. They want to make sure that that person has the financial means to do it, that you've had a relationship with them. So we're not going to allow you to post random inquiries for money because it's a very gray area and we don't want you to get in trouble for that. So we're just out there trying to protect you. Secondly, is everything works great until it doesn't. And when poo hits the fan and you lent money to someone because it was in, they asked for it in the group and we had mutual friends, I don't want there to be some sort of connection where I endorsed that deal, I vetted it. When you guys make friends and network in the group, in Facebook, I don't know everybody in the group. There's 1,500 people on that Facebook page. I know a lot of them, but I don't know everybody. So when things go downhill, and at some point, there's going to be a deal that's going to go bad. There's been people in here that have had recommendations from contractors in the group that have gone south. I had a recommendation for a contractor in Hammond, and I'm probably out 20 grand on that. I mean, he did a bunch of work that we are literally ripping out and starting over. So I lost 20 grand, and that was from a recommendation in the group. And I'm not going to hold it against the person. But I don't want to be dragged into the middle of something that happened because it happened in an environment that I facilitated. So If you want to raise money, the biggest thing is to come every month, network with people, meet them for Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks or coffee or whatever after, build that relationship, and then people will lend to you that way. So, any questions on that? If you have a question, you can. It's still a gray area because I asked them that they brought up, they showed me some screenshots of different Facebook posts that they've gone after people for, and it's a very gray area. If the SEC ever asks you, hey, how did you meet that person? Oh, I had a Facebook post asking for this, and this is how. So, I mean, that's up to you. I'm not going to approve it because that's still kind of in that area where you don't want it. So. If you are a lender and you're advertising, hey, I have money to lend, that's not a general solicitation to lend. You just can't ask for it. So, biggest thing is if you want to figure out who the lenders are, come every month and talk to people after. And everybody knows somebody in here that has loaned money to somebody. All right, I'm really excited about our main event. Mike, if you want to come on up. Mike, there you are. You have me worried here. Mike has done a handful of flips this year. I met Mike a couple of years ago when he was working with another investor. Mike does a lot of flips. He's done probably, 5 or 6 people in the room at least. He's done a couple for us. Mike knows his stuff. And I have people all the time ask me, hey, who do you know who does this? How do you vet a contractor? I had this issue with this contractor. And Mike's going to talk a lot about it, but a lot of times it boils down to just poor communication. So Mike's going to talk about good ways to work with contractors from his experience as a contractor, and I think you'll get a lot out of it.
Thanks, Adrian and Justin. You guys hear me? How about now? You guys hear me? All right, so thanks, Adrian and Justin, for the opportunity. I do have a little bit of experience on this topic. I've been on both sides of the fence. You could say I've been on the investor side and now on the contracting side. And Adrian was mentioning that I do have some clients here tonight, which I was actually blessed and also honored to have Jim here. Jim, I've done a lot of business with Jim throughout the years. I think we know each other for about 10 years now. I actually met Jim wholesaling back in the days when I was recuperating. I have a story, so I'm not going to get ahead of that, but Al Perez from Preferred Homes, everybody knows he owns Maryville. I do a lot of business with Al Perez, Jim and Bobby, Adrian and Justin. I've done several rehabs for them in the last several months. And I'm not sure if somebody's here from Caribou Property Management, but I have a good relationship with JW, and I've done some business with him. He was supposed to be here tonight, but yes, I've done quite a bit of work for several investors that are here in the area. MA Development Group was started due to the fact of shortage of contractors, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I have a story, a unique story, and everybody here in this room has a story. My story is very unique, so I'm going to share that very briefly so you guys can get an idea of who Mike Andrade is and what I'm about to speak tonight, what kind of value I would like to bring to you guys tonight here in the group. Born and raised in Chicago, in Pilsen area. Anybody here from Chicago? Oh, wow, a bunch of people. Anybody know where Pilsen is at? Well, Pilsen back then when I was growing up was the hood. Literally, the Italians owned it. When the Italians owned it, they ran it by the mobsters, and they ran everything very well. The Italianos did a phenomenal job, and then the Hispanics came in and they ran it down. Jokingly, but somewhat true. And so I grew up in a very rough area of Pilsen area. And I started working at a very young age. I started working at the age of 12 because I was born in a poverty area. I was born in a very low income household. So it was my mom and dad, my 4 brothers, my 3 brothers and myself, and we had a little sister in a 2-bedroom apartment Literally, if I walk out of my bedroom, I will walk into the kitchen, I will step over here, and there will be the hallway, and I will be right into the bedroom, and I could walk over here and I'll be in the living room. I mean, it was so small. So at a very young age, I started working to help our family, and at the age of 12, I started passing Chicago flyers for a pizza place, Paisanos, up over there that was in Cicero, so we will pass pizza flyers all the way from Sturmac, from Western, all the way till Cicero Avenue. And I would get paid $1 and a slice of pizza, and that was good for this 12-year-old boy, this chunky 12-year-old Mexican kid. So I did that for a while until we got robbed by some gangbangers and got beat up. We got home all beat up, and my mom's like, you ain't going out no more. Into the age of 14, and then I went back and started working for the Chicago Tribune. I started knocking doors and selling Chicago Tribune newspaper for $1.25, get your weekends free, and I would do that. I will hustle, and I did that all the way till my freshman year in high school. And I was their #1 salesman in that area as a 14-year-old kid, and that's how I started making a living. As a freshman, I started working for a cell phone company at Forest Park, Illinois, over there by Harlem and Roosevelt, and I worked on my freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year full-time for them while going to school. And it was a good for the family because I was able to help my dad $500 a month to help pay the expenses. So I would bring home $500 a month, and I still remember I was bringing home to myself savings about $1,500, and I was giving my dad $500. So I was making about $2,000 a month. It was really good. We had a lot of festivals during the weekend in Chicago. You guys know there's festival every week in the summertime, and I was making a lot of money as a 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old. At the age of 20, in 2000, I bought my first real estate property in Hessville. Anybody familiar with Hessville, Hammond area? So I went from Chicago, from Pilsen to Hammond, Hessville area. Bought my first real estate property in 2000. Didn't know anything about real estate. I bought the smallest house because the realtor lady told me that it was a phenomenal house. All the floors squeaked, and yeah, it was a nightmare. But I bought my first real estate property. I still remember I put $20,000 down as a down payment, and I bought it for like $69,000 back then. So I had $20,000 cash, paid the closing costs and everything on my first real estate property in 2000. Then in 2002, I met with an investor in the area, a wholesaler who's doing a lot of real estate. I knew him from working in the cell phone industry. A lot of people know him as the little man in the area. I'm not gonna get into that, but he got me into doing more real estate. So I bought my second real estate property in 2002 in Hammond as well. I used line of credit from my first house and bought my second property. And from there, I really got a taste of real estate. I was renting basement. It wasn't legal back then. It's probably not legal now, but I was renting to college students, which I have one of them here tonight. I'm not going to embarrass him, but I have somebody in this area sitting over here who I was renting for $150 a month, him and 3 other college students. So I was collecting about $600 of rent from renting that basement, just that basement alone. And so I really started getting a taste of real estate. Acquired 11 rental properties and was flipping 3 to 4 from 2002 to 2007. I was a young entrepreneur, a young real estate guy. I didn't know anything about real estate besides it was making me money and what other people were telling me about how to make money. And so at a very young age, I was just moving too fast for my speed, but it was a very good opportunity, and it was making me money. That same investor that I started investing in real estate was the same investor that screwed me over and 20 other real estate investors in the area. And he was managing our properties, he was managing our rentals. During this whole time I was working as an executive for corporate America, making good money with them and doing real estate. And I trusted him with managing my properties and acquisitions and other kinds of funds. And then in 07, as everybody knows, what happened in 07? What happened? Market crash. So in 07, the market crashed, and everything went down. This investor, this wholesaler, this guy that we all trust, this property management company, was kind of stealing from us. He was doing a lot of shady stuff behind the scenes that we were not aware of. And so I pretty much, in 07, as a 27-year-old kid, I lost it all. I had to go through bankruptcy because he was not paying the rents. He was keeping the money, all the house tax code violations, Hammond, Hobart, Maryville. I had houses throughout those areas. And he also was doing other stuff that I'm not going to get into the details. But pretty much everything that I had worked so hard from the age of 12 all the way to the age of 27 went down the drain. I was devastated. I was bitter. I was angry. I was hurt. I was broke. You know, everything that you can possibly think that you trusted somebody to manage your finances and trusted somebody to help you out, and everything that you worked so hard throughout the years, and to get out of the poverty, it went down the drain. And I wanted nothing to do with real estate from 2008 to 2010. It was a very horrible time. It was the worst depression time ever in my life. And I didn't know who to go to. I mean, really, at that age, do I go to my dad and say, Dad, oh, by the way, your son was almost going to be a millionaire over here, and he had a lot of money, and, you know, I'm going to have to file bankruptcy and go through federal court, and how can you help me? I mean, my dad and my mom and my parents, nobody knew how much money, how much assets I had, and at that time, there was very few people in regards to my status that was in the same boat that I was in. So I went through a very deep, depressed time. I wanted nothing to do with real estate. How did I return back in 2014? I went and sought some advice, and I went to, I know a lot of people bash churches and they're negative about church, but I went to a church, and there was a minister there that I sat down with to get some advice. And he said, son, you need to let go of your bitterness. He goes, son, you need to forget the past. You need to learn how to forgive. You need to learn how to rebound from this. He goes, the same work ethic that you have, the same brains that you have, you still have a good health. He goes, you're still young. It's not like you're in your late 60s and all your retirement money, you lost it all. You still are at a very young age and you can still rebound. He goes, but what's affecting you is that you have bitterness in your heart. You're angry. He goes, and you're not thinking properly how to get back into what you were good at before. He goes, let go of bitterness, let go of anger, let go of all this negativity in your life, and you watch the blessings are going to start happening. So in 2014, I was, let me go back a little bit. I was working as an executive, traveling internationally for opening Old Navy, Gap, Athleta stores throughout the country, throughout the U.S., Mexico, China, Canada. I was the one who opened up all the Old Navy stores in Mexico, and I had an executive team, and I was working on the construction side, and I was making really good money. And so I started making this money again, and the only thing that I knew how to do back then was work and invest in real estate. So I didn't know this person was going to be here tonight, but it's part of my story. And there's a gentleman here that I just saw. Sam, do you mind raising your hand? This is just a coincidence. Did you know that I was going to speak tonight? No, I didn't know you were going to be here tonight. I just saw you right now. So how did I rebound back in 2014? I started doing wholesaling again. Somebody called me up and they said, Mike, I have a house in Hammond, but the person speaks Spanish, and I know you speak Spanish. Can you call them up and help me try to sell this house? I said, sure, why not? So I give this guy a call. He was coming into BP to work in the refinery, and he needed a place to stay. So he was a Hispanic guy from Texas, knew about construction. He wanted to buy this beat-up house, and I negotiated a deal with him, and I made $3,500 out of the deal in my pocket. And what did I start tasting again? Success. I started tasting that money again. I started tasting real estate again. I was like, wow, man, wholesaling. So then I reach out to that investor again and say, hey, by any chance, do you have any other deals going on around? He goes, yeah, I got a couple more. So what I started doing is I started putting ads on Craigslist. And I started putting, you know, this house for sale, 3-bedroom, 1-bath, ugly house, make it beautiful again. And I started taking pictures. And I started wholesaling on the side while still traveling and working as an executive for corporate America. I got some money, and I wanted to start flipping houses again, but I didn't have all the funding. So I made one phone call to a guy, who I'm actually Sam, I think I saw you at a store, a grocery store, somewhere. I forgot the story, how it goes. But anyways, I connected with Sam day up. I didn't know he was going to be here tonight. And I said, Sam, I have, you remember how much money I let you borrow? 35. I think it was $35,000. I let him borrow and said, Sam, I have $35,000 that I saved again, every penny of it. And I want to get back into real estate. And there's only one person that I could trust, because you're old school, you're from Chicago, we know each other for years. You know me since I was about 15 years of age. I said, and I'm going to trust you with it. Remember we had that conversation? And I said, I'm going to trust you with it, but you know how hurt I am, and you know what happened to me in the past, and I'm going to give you this money, and I'm going to trust you with it. And how much money did you give me back? He gave me 50% of that profit deal from that house. He split that profit with me 50%, which I think it ended up being almost 15K. So I gave him 35K, and he gave me 15K in return. So now I had, how much did I have? 50K. And then from there, it started developing, and that's how I went back into rebounding back into real estate. Sam Vega, thank you, you know, always said that, and I don't know if he was going to be here tonight, so it's like a perfect scenario. They've been good friends of mine for a long time, but I actually got back into real estate by doing those steps back. And so that's how I started as a real estate investor. That's how I invested in real estate. And in 2017, I left corporate America because I had enough funding and I had enough money to get back into real estate. And I partnered with somebody else to go into full-time and start investing in real estate. Now, why is Mike Andrade speaking here tonight? And Adrian gave me the opportunity to talk about contractors. Because I started my construction company due to the fact of not enough contractors. If you talk to any real estate investor, they're going to tell you the number one thing is what? What's the number one thing? What's the number one problem with investors? Huh? Finding what? Good contractors. Because you could get acquisitions. If you're good, you could go talk to Justin Adrian. They could wholesale your deals. You could talk to other wholesalers. You could get a position. You could get funding. Funding's not a problem. Right now, the problem is finding good contractors. And so I know a lot of you guys have had a long day like myself. And so I brought some treats for you guys tonight because I can see some of you guys are already tired. So if you guys, I have Dunkin' Donuts gift cards because it's a real estate investor and it's a contractor. If you wake up early like I do and you work late, you're drinking what? Coffee. How many people drink coffee here? Everybody, right? Okay. So I got coffee, and you need to snack on. This lady right here is snacking. Will you want a Kit Kat or a Snicker? You're already snacking. She's Snickers. So see, it's like that commercial Snickers. So I'm gonna make this meeting exciting tonight because I see some of you guys are already tired, starting to fall asleep on me. My story boring you. I apologize, but I have some good content for you. In the last year, I've been a part of rehabbing 52 properties for investors. A lot of you here tonight, Jim and Bob, Adrian, Justin, El Perez, and some other people that are not here. This year alone, we have renovated 35 properties, done several commercial projects. If you know Salto Mexican Restaurant, a good friend of mine, we did a lot of the work for him for the new Salto right there in Munster. Currently working, actually this number just changed. It went from 11 to 14. So currently I have 14 projects that we're rehabbing in these areas. And I'm also doing new construction in Westlake subdivision in Munster. And so we're very busy. So I have a little bit of experience in regards when it comes to construction and rehabbing flips. And our goal is by the end of the year to do 100 rehabs by the end of this year. I know Adrian put 75 out there in the promotional. My goal is to do 100 this year. And we are on track. We start a little bit slow because you guys, everybody know, January and February, so slow months for all the investors in regards to acquisitions. But I mean, right now it's hectic. It's just unbelievable. I have 38 guys that work for me, including subcontractors, and we are out there making it happen. Introduction. One of the major problems that I hear from every investor, they cannot hire enough contractors to work on their houses. There's a demand for contractors, but also good, reliable contractors that will show up to work and be there consistently, do the work, and not cut corners to compromise the quality of their work. Do you guys agree with me on that? Yes? At the same time, there's a lot of contractors that don't want to work for investors because certain investors have a bad reputation of not paying on time, being cheap, and trying to nickel and dime the contractor. How many contractors do we have here tonight? Not a lot of contractors. 1, 2, 3. Do you guys agree with me on that? At the same time, okay, cheap contractor. One more productivity from the contractor with a reasonable time frame completion. It creates friction on both ends. So I want to share just a couple of things that I've learned from being on both sides of the fence that hopefully I can share some value to tonight. So Nate and Tony, when you guys come up here, they're gonna illustrate for me what's going on right now. So Nate's a good friend of mine. Nate's dad is Dan Cavender, kind of the godfather in the area. Been doing real estate since the early 80s. Early 80s, his dad been doing real estate in the early 80s. I actually, as a young entrepreneur, when I was in my early 20s for real estate, I went to see his dad, Dan Cavender, within Griffiths for advice. I would go visit him twice a month and just sit down and chit-chat with him to get advice on how I could get better in real estate. So I've known Nate and the family for years. So Nate is going to represent the investor. And then I have Tony Areta. Don't make fun of him because he's Mexican. He's wearing the Home Depot hat. He's got the hammer, right? Come on now. I see some of you guys already. All right. So Tony's going to represent the contractor here for me tonight. I couldn't find a Serbian or Polish guy, so I ended up getting Tony. So Tony's going to represent the contractor, and Nate is going to represent the investor. So 1, 2, 3, action.
Hey, where's my money? I'll pay you next week. Hey, what about my guys? I gotta pay my guys. Hey, you didn't finish your job. I'm down to a punch list. Not finished.
And that's what's literally happened tonight. Thank you guys. And most of you guys get a $5 Dunkin' Donuts gift card for illustrating that very well. So that's what's literally happening in this time and this season. I mean, when hiring a contractor, do your research. I need my notes, by the way. Thank you. So Oscar, I gotta carry my notes. When hiring, how to hire a good contractor, where to find them. Number one, when hiring a contractor, do your research. I'm gonna tell you guys 2 quick stories. I am full of stories because if you guys saw, I've been doing this for a minute. 2 quick stories. Nate actually called me the other day and said, Mike, I have this guy, and Nate does a phenomenal job inventing contract. He called me and said, I have this guy in my office looking for work. And I did a background check on him, and it comes out that he has a felony on theft. He had a theft felony. So number one, is that a red flag or not a red flag? Yeah, it's a red flag before you hire somebody. Especially on theft, if it's going to be your contractor, you're going to be, trusting him with material. You're going to be trusting him with your house. You're going to be trusting him with a lot of stuff going on in the rehab. And he called me up and Mike, he goes, the crazy thing about it is that he said he's worked for you, and he's worked for such and such an investor, not to mention any names, the guy that owns Maryville. And he says he has done a lot of work for you guys. And he showed pictures. He mentions the guy name, and I started laughing. I said, are you serious, Nate? I was driving, I almost crashed my truck. I had to pull over. I said, so-and-so? He goes, yeah, so-and-so came and asked me for work today, and I brought his background. I'm like, bro, that guy's not even a contractor. He was like the handyman kid helping out this guy for an electrical. He's never done any rehabs for us. He's never worked at anything in the construction industry. He is literally a guy that helps a guy pull wire who's an electrician. But yet he was out there looking for work, but Nate did a good job of venting him and making sure that he was going to be qualified to do work, and he did his research. He gave me a call and said, hey, this guy said that he's done work for you guys. And I said, bro, the guy doesn't even know how to, he might do demo, but he doesn't have any trade skills. They didn't hire him, but Nate did his research. When hiring a contractor, do your research. Another quick story, my dad from all people, I was supposed to do work for him. He's retired, so he kind of just dozed off for a while. When he called me back, I'm like, Dad, I'm so busy, I'm sorry, I can't rehab your apartments in Chicago. Come on, Nico, you promised me you were gonna rehab my apartments, and it's already, I said, Dad, this was back in February. We're freaking already in June. We're hustling right now. We're busy right now, Dad. I'm so sorry, I can't send somebody to your house. But Nico, you told me, I'm like, Dad, I'm sorry. I said, let me make a couple phone calls for you. Maybe you could find some people in Chicago. Sure enough, he's find some guys. Not that I recommended him. These guys are, say, scrappers on their business cards. We do demos. Have you ever seen that business card where it says scrappers, we do demo? These guys kind of want to do it all. They show up to his apartments. They demo the living room and the kitchen. That's it. and they're like, oh, we need to get paid now. Can you give us $1,000? They were there only for 2 days. They wanted to get paid for $1,000. My dad gives them $1,000. It's been 2 weeks and they haven't come back. My dad calls me up, Mijo, these guys, they took my $1,000 and they haven't been back. And I got stuff everywhere. They left the stuff everywhere. Can you please help me to bring somebody over here? I said, Dad, did you pay him? Yes, I gave him $1,000. I said, and when are they going to come back? Oh, the guy said he had a flat tire. And then I called him the other day and he said his son was sick. And then I called him the other day, he said he was somewhere in Michigan. I'm like, Dad, he ain't coming back. You lost your $1,000. And I had to send some of my own guys on a weekend to go help them out and just kind of bail them out to clean up the place. Then I called one of my contractor friends in Chicago and I said, hey, can you take care of my dad? That's my dad. I'll take care of it. You know, he already got ripped off. But that's just a couple examples, folks, tonight, to do your research. And this goes both ways. I'm not just talking about the investor doing your research with the contractor. I'm talking about the contractor do your research also with the investor. Because people call me, hey, can you come over here and give me a bid on my house? And I go over there. They don't want a bid. They just want me to tell them how to rehab their house so they can rehab it, hire another contractor to do the work, and there you wasted 2 hours of your time on giving somebody ideas and scope of work on how to rehab their house. Or you'll come in and they have like material over here, they have debris over here, they already started the demo themselves, and then they have 2 buckets of paint over here for Sherman-Williams, and then you go in there, they're not even organized. So it goes both ways. Contractor, do your research on the investor. Investor, do your research on the contractor. Number 2, ask other investors to give you a referral on one contractor they're using to rehab their properties. And this goes along with also what Nate did. He called me up and said, Mike, is this guy going to be a good guy? So he was asking me for a referral. Hey, is this guy going to be good or not? When, you know, a lot of times, if investors, you can't find a contractor, ask other contractors, call other contractors, say, hey, Trey, who are you using to rehab your house in Hammond? Hey, Justin, who are you using to rehab your house in Lakeland Four Seasons? They've already done several flips. Call Al Perez. Al Perez, who are you using to rehab all your houses in Maryville? You know, ask other investors to get ideas on who are they using, and most likely they're going to tell you who they're using. If they're using them, most likely it's a good contractor, right? If not, they wouldn't be using them. Here, brother, you need some M&Ms. There you go. Number 3, where can you find a good contractor on the real meetings? Invest NWI is a good place. Instead of coming in and getting your Subway sandwich and your slice of pizza and sitting down, once the meeting's over, boom, you shut out. Stay in network with people. You know, ask, hey, I'm looking for a contractor. Do you know anybody that's a good contractor that you could recommend me? REI meetings, Invest NWI is a good place to meet contractors. Adrian spoke about it earlier about Facebook. Get into Facebook. They have that phenomenal Facebook post, and I see people there posting all the time, hey, I need a dry water guy. Hey, I need this guy. And I appreciate everybody that says, Mike Andrade, Mike Andrade. Guys, I am swamped. Thank you for putting my name out there, but I'm busy. But there's other good contractors out there that you could find between the group. So real meetings are very good. From your local vendors. I get people referring me all the time at Home Depot at the Pro Desk. Schillings, Menards. Your local vendors is a good place to get yourself a contractor because they know if the guy goes in there and he's in and out, if he's organized, if he's got a good reputation of paying, right? Or did he order the material and never went and showed up and picked up the material? Or if he shows to Home Depot, how many of you guys go to Home Depot and shop at Home Depot? Okay, a good 90% of the group here. Have you been to Home Depot on a Monday morning at 6:30 in the morning in Cherville? It's chaotic there. It's busy. Saturdays, you could barely walk down the alley because there's so much work going on right now. But you could tell. And you could tell when it's a good contract. If he's a contract that shows up, you know, he's barely walking, he's got his big cup of mug of coffee, he's chit-chatting with everybody, and he's there for 2-3 hours, that's not the contractor you want to hire, I'll tell you right now. Because a good contractor, he values his time. He wants to be in and out, grab the material, he has a material list, he knows exactly what he's going to buy. He's not going aisle to aisle saying, oh, can you tell me where I'm going to find my J boxes, my junction boxes? Oh, can you? No, he knows his Home Depot. He knows where everything's at. He's going to get his material. He's going to be in and out. Why? Because he wants to get to his job site because he wants to get the job done. Good locations to get good contractors from your local vendors. Anybody has any questions so far? No? Anybody want some M&Ms? Kit Kats? I'm thinking. I knew you did, bro. Here you go, Kit Kat. Attributes of a good contractor.
I got one question.
Go ahead, sir.
Do you guys use the vendors to vet the contractors?
No, you're supposed to vet it yourself. You could ask the vendor, hey, is this a good contractor you're referring to me? Let's say MA Development Group. Go ask Home Depot to Pro this. SEMA and all those people there in Cherville. Mike Andrade. You know, is he a good guy? Does he bring you guys cupcakes and pizza every once a month? They'll tell you, yeah. I'll take care of them because they take care of me. We have a relationship.
What I'm getting at is, verifying if they have accounts open. If they can,
Yes.
get the materials. Is there a way that you guys can do that?
Yeah, Home Depot Pro could verify if the contractor has an account with them. Yes, I can Pro this.
They need some kind of a form signed to release that information, or do you know that? Or?
I'm not going to get into the logistics of how the vendor is because once again, I'm here to speak about my experience. Like Adrian says, so I prefer for you to contact Home Depot yourself because I don't want straight in the wrong direction. But yes, there's a process for everything. Home Depot does have a process on how they do when a contractor wants to open an account with them. Yes, sir. Okay, attributes of a good contractor. Is he organized? Is the contractor organized? When he's walking to your scope of work, when he's going to do a walkthrough at your property, is he coming with a notepad and pen? Is he walking in, looking around, asking questions? Is he writing stuff down? Does he show up on time? John Hill called me up this week, and I went over there and did an emergency run over there to check out a property for him. I was there when the guy, I don't know if he's here today. Travis, are you here today? No, Travis didn't make it. But I showed up. I had my notepad. I had my pens. I was asking questions so that I could be able to give him information properly, so that I could be able to give a good bid. A good contractor is organized. That's a very good attribute to have because if he's organized, he's going to be organized during the whole process of your scope. Because when day one starts, he's going to have his dumpster there. You don't show up to the project and nobody's there day number one, and they finally show up 3 hours later, and they're walking in with their Dunkin' Donuts and coffee and donuts, and they're barely putting their tools down to get started. And you're looking at your clock, and I've been up already to 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's 10 o'clock, and they're barely getting started for demo. That's not being organized. Now, a lot of times, there's people sub stuff out, but if a good contractor is organized, he'll call his crew. Hey, so-and-so. Hey, Jose. Hey, Antonio. Are you there? Are you starting? He's organized. He's got his dumpsters there. He's got all his stuff ready, and he's going to be organized with his subcontractors if you're giving him the whole scope of the work. Because if not, it's going to jeopardize your project. It's going to delay your project because if he's not organized, then he's not going to know how to schedule his people, which you guys know is very important during a rehab process. How does he schedule his electricians? How does he schedule the plumbers? How does he schedule all the way to the granite guy and the cleaning lady who comes and cleans the house when the project is done? So an attribute of being a good contractor is being organized. Number two, what kind of value is he bringing during the initial walk during the rehab process? You want to look at this contractor. Is he a good contractor? What kind of value is he bringing during the initial walkthrough? I'll give you an example. The other day, I'm going to use Justin's name as an example. Calls me up and says, hey, Mike. I'm like, hey, Justin. He goes, I want you to come and see this house for me. So I go over there and look at this house, and we're in the basement, and he goes, I want to put an egress window here because I want to bring more value to the house. I want to finish the basement like so-and-so investor does it. I'm like, okay. So I look at where he wants to put his egress window, and I noticed when I have walked the house to the outside that he needed, the egress window wouldn't work there because he had a gas line running there. I just saw somebody yawning, so he's going to get the Snickers. And so the egress window was there. It's a buddy of mine. And he wanted to put the egress window there, but the gas line was out there. Now, is that a good place to put your egress window? Why not? Because when you start digging on the outside, the gas line is right there, and it's going to cause a mess. Number one, you can't put your egress window there, but the guys are going to start opening the concrete, they're going to start breaking the blocks, and start doing all the prepping, and they're going to get into the halfway through, and they go, wait a minute, we can't install an egress window there. So who loses money? Investor loses money, right? Time is money, money is time. So it delays the project. They already started probably using some of roughing materials for that, and the contractor loses time. So I told Justin, I said, Justin, there's not a good place to put your egress window. That is the type of thing a contractor can bring value to the investor because he has experience if he's done a lot of projects and he knows, wait a minute, this is a place to do it or not to do it. I'll give you one more example. I'm doing a walk around the house in Cedar Lake. The project manager tells me, Mike, here's my layout of my design of scope. I want to put a bathroom over here when you come down the stairs to the left side of the basement. I think a bathroom's going to go well here. And I'm walking the house, and I'm looking, and I don't see anything where the main drain is at. And I'm like, so-and-so, I don't think putting a bathroom is good here. I think we could redo the layout and put a bathroom on this side because you have your ejector pit over here. Does that make sense if you're a plumber? Now, if you're a bad plumber, and if you want to make money, oh, yeah, Mrs. So-and-so, I'll put your bathroom over here. Ching-ching, money sign, money sign, money sign. Why? Because now you're going to charge more because you're going to have to break the concrete to run your plumbing over here to where your ejector pit is over here. Right? But a good contractor says, no, Miss So-and-so, I think it's best instead of your bathroom being over here, be over here because of your plumbing over here, we could just tie it up. It's going to be a lot less money in material. It's going to be a lot less for my guys to work in here. But at the same time, it's a win-win for both scenarios. You guys agree with me or not? So look at your contract and see if it's bringing you any value to your job site, to your scope of work, to you as an investor doing the walkthrough. Number 3, fair pricing. How many here likes fair pricing? Doesn't matter if you're buying a car. Doesn't matter if you're going to Taco Bell. You want that $5 value meal, right? Thank you, Nick. Everybody wants fair pricing. So be on the lookout for a contract. What's an attribute of a good contractor? Is he giving you fair pricing? And another thing is, how can you get fair pricing? Get bids from several different people. Don't go by the first one that comes by in the truck that says, you know, I'm a contractor. Call a couple people. Don't be lazy. Call several people and say, hey, so-and-so, you know, can you come and give me a bid? Hey, so-and-so, get 2 or 3 bids. Now, fair pricing goes both ways. If you're the contractor and you give fair pricing, investor, you'll be able to tell. If somebody comes in and wants you to rehab the whole house, and they come and says, ma'am, Summer, I'm going to rehab your whole house for $15,000. And you're like, $15,000? That includes carpet, granite, and everything? That's a red flag right off the bat. Unless this guy's going to come in like a magic wand and makes this $15,000. Typical rehab like that for a whole house is going to cost $15,000. But what does a bad investor do? A young investor like Mike Andrade back in 2000. He goes with the first person and says, $15,000. This guy goes in. How much, Mr. Steve? $28,000. Mr. RNL, he says $26,000. So I get 3 bids, $15,000, $28,000, and $24,000. These 2 guys seem right about the level of the price, right? And if you're an investor, you do your research. Just like you research on when you get an acquisition of a property, just like you research your comps, just like you research where you're going to sell the property for what's the after repair value, do your research with a contractor to see what it is, the pricing in that area for that particular scope of work that it's going to cost you. Then you know if somebody's giving you a fair price or not. Don't ever go with the guy who's going to be the cheapest. Most likely, the guy who's the cheapest is not the best. He's going to cut corners. He's probably got several jobs. He just wants to get in and make a quick buck and then leave you. Now, it's not always the case. I've given cheap pricing to get my foot in the door with other investors, but I don't do it all the time, and I know my overhead. But be very careful when you get pricing. Somebody had you had your hand up, sir? Yes, sir. Actually, I have cake out of M&Ms.
As far as fair pricing.
Fair pricing, go ahead.
I'm a new investor.
You're a new investor.
My responsibility to go and have multiple contractors come out and maybe kind of bamboozle them just to try to get their prices.
What do you mean with bamboozle them? Bamboozle them, you know, to me sounds like a taco, you know, / burrito. Correct.
Piggyback on that, what are your thoughts of like the home advisors, Angie's List, when they give you like a cost comparison?
Sure. I personally have never used Angie's List, so I cannot give you any advice based on that. You know, I'm sure Angie's List does have some good contractors. Has anybody heard of TaskRabbit? TaskRabbit? I used to use TaskRabbit when I used to do construction internationally for the old Navy Gap stores. My secretary will call TaskRabbit, and we needed like a handyman to go in and fix something at a store because the general contractor already had left. And he's from Minnesota, and the project was in San Francisco. And we would use TaskRabbit to go over there, and they had to get reviews. So, I mean, Angel List, you might want to check the reviews. I'm sure they have reviews and stuff on that. But I personally have never used Angel List, so I couldn't give you any advice based on Angel List. But yeah, I would say bring a couple contractors. Never bring them during the same time. Be a little bit ethical. You know, I've seen people do that. They show up and they got 3, 4 contracts at the same time, and they don't know which one to take care of first. TaskRabbit, but that was on the commercial side. I'm not sure if they do residential.
Okay.
T-A-S-K and then rabbit like a rabbit. Yes, Jim.
I would say Angie List and Home Advisory, they're just companies that pay to advertise. So Angie List, you're not getting any better contractors. I'm a contractor for 30 years. If you're going to pay them, to put you on that list. So don't go by that.
Yeah, and once again, go back to the first thing that I talked about earlier, referrals, you know, using from other people's network. That's probably the best contract that you're going to get. But that was a very good question, though. Fair pricing. So be careful on the fair pricing, be fair on both ends, because a contractor is looking for a long-term partnership with that investor. Therefore, his pricing will be fair, because he understands there is money to be made from both sides. The investor from selling the house and the contractor from renovating the house. A good contractor is going to know that there's a long-term partnership. It's not a quick buck to make with that one-time deal. Good contractors looking long-term partnerships because they want long-term opportunities. Yes, sir.
Well, that's not necessarily. It depends on how hungry the person is and they're honest. You know, I am coming from the distribution.
Okay.
And I did a lot of low pricing.
Okay.
To compete with other people.
Sure.
So I never cut corners.
Sure.
Because I have like 20 or 5 people in the same business.
Correct. So you gave low price and you didn't cut corners.
Wait 1 second.
Sure.
So that doesn't mean it's your honesty, your integrity.
Sure.
If you already know how much money you're gonna make, and to me it's good money. I don't care what other people want to charge.
Correct.
It's
it comes down to the investor.
Demand and supply.
Correct.
Right? You don't care what other people charge. You just know that quantity or that money is going to satisfy you as a person.
That is correct.
The other thing that I want to add, also you have to check, that happened to me. Some people went and break into one of my house, stole some merchandise, and I think I know which person. And I called the guys, and because he was.
So we'll get to your story in a minute. Let me finish going through the whole process. I understand, but let me finish the presentation.
With contractors,
Uh-huh.
And what I'm trying to say, they have probably, you might not be the criminal, but the people that work for the contractors,
Sure.
the criminals, they stole my water heater, they stole security door, they stole Costco,
I understand.
The vanity. So I'm talking about like you might represent yourself, but you associates, you don't know who the associates are, and you can bring criminals to the job place, and they can be rapers. You can be.
That is correct. So I mean, that's anywhere. Anywhere you go, you can have people who are going to work, who are not going to do a decent job. You could hire people. The people that you hire are not going to be, trustworthy, loyal. But that's why I go back to doing your research, running your checks. Contractors should be running background checks on their employees so that they don't hurt the investor like they're hurting you. Good quality work, number 4. Good quality work. And we could talk about this a lot, okay? This is a great area because there's different investors who think, oh, my quality work is great. Some other investors could be different. So there's different parts of quality work. Some people are doing Mickey Mouse rehabs, and to them, Mickey Mouse rehabs are fine. Some people are doing, $500,000 rehabs, and to them, they need a higher quality of work. I mean, we could be talking about this. There's so much different gray areas, but everybody knows what good quality work is. And another attribute of a good contractor is when he rehabs your house, is he doing good quality work to your rehab? Number 5, on-time completion. I cannot talk about this enough with on-time completion, because it hurts the investor, the profitability of the investor, if the contractor is not finishing on time the completion of the project. If he says, I'm going to do the work at 10 weeks of the project, then he needs to be wrapping up the project and complete the project in 10 weeks. Now, there is a grace period. You know, you walk into a project and you see they're doing some final touch of paint, they're cleaning up the place already, there's 5, 6 items they got to fix, and they're there getting the stuff done. You know, there's some grace that you can extend to the contractor, but a lot of times you can walk in and the project was supposed to be completed in 10 weeks, and week number 14, they are still there working, and you're looking at it, the cabinets are not installed, the granite has been put in, they still got to do the hardware, they still do the final touch-ups. So on-time completion is another good attribute of having a good contractor, because it helps the contractor gets done, he gets to jump to the next job, and is able to move his crews, but also the investor, because the investor helps him out in regards to the overhead. If a contractor is there longer than what he anticipated, what happens if you're an investor? If you're getting private money, what are you losing? Interest money. Number 2, your overhead, you're paying for utilities while the guys are there working, because you know they're using a lot of utilities, right? They have other machines running. Number 3, there's possible somebody breaking in because you're not there all the time, and they could steal the tools or material. They're still during the rehab process. Number 4, you're maintaining the lawn. You're maintaining the house. So there's a lot that goes involved with on-time completion, that it works both ways from a contractor, but also from an investor. It hurts the investor if the contractor doesn't finish on time. There's a grace period, but overall, the contractor needs to understand that if he promised something, he needs to execute on his end. Investor and contractor development. Building relationships. Woo! This is huge right here. Building relationships. There's been times that I've gone to a house 3 different times to take care of a final punch list item, so that I can make sure that I have a long-term relationship with that investor. I've gone on a Saturday. I've driven my family with me on a Sunday to check on the house to make sure the guy left there and working on a Saturday have finished the punch list items as they have promised me. Because as we know, yes, we hire good people, but a lot of times even good people do what? Are having a bad day, right? Maybe they cut corner by accident, but you show up to make sure that they did the work that they were supposed to do. I had somebody recently call me and say, hey Mike, I have a plumbing leak. We think this was done during your rehab. I looked at the stuff, I said, I don't think, but I'm gonna go over there and look at it. I set up the day, boom, I went over there with one of my guys, went to Home Depot, prepared stuff for what we needed to buy, went in there. It wasn't one of our issues that we did during the rehab, but I went there and took care of it and gave a very fair price to fix that problem. Why? Because I believe in long-term relationships. Building a relationship is very important. I'm going to read this to you. Be fair with each other. Set expectations from the get-go of what is expected from both parties. If you have flip houses, you know how hectic sometimes a project can get. Therefore, building a relationship with each other is crucial in the success of the project. Issues will come up. Delays will happen due to unforeseeable situations, but when there is a strong relationship, both parties are able to navigate through those issues a lot smoother and with a lot less stress. And this goes for the investor, and this goes for the contractor. Building relationships is crucial from both parties, once again, if you're looking for long-term. And if you're in the real estate industry, if you don't plan to go back and flip hamburgers, or go back and be an executive of an office or a company, and you want to stick in real estate, building relations is very important from a contractor aspect and from an investor aspect. Number 2, clear communication and processes. This is very important, clear communication, and it works both ways. So I'm going to go through this very quickly because I have several different things. How much more time I got, Adrian? 20 more minutes, perfect. I'm on track. Be clear on your communication on your scope of work. I cannot emphasize that enough. If you're the investor, you should be already be walking the house a day, 2 days, 3 days prior. As soon as you acquire your property, whatever time you have, before you meet the contractor there. Don't be walking the house when the contract is there and be like, well, I think we should do this to the house. You know what, maybe leave the kitchen cabinets and paint them for me. Oh, you know what, let's just keep the trim in the doors. 5 minutes later, oh, you know what, no, never mind. Just take the doors and trim out and we're gonna put new doors and trim. What does that make it? Look, confusion. You're confusing the contractor's writing his notes back and forth. Okay, when he's done, there could be an issue. That's why we're having a clear scope of work, and also the contract thinking, ching, 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 ching. This person doesn't know what they're doing. Most likely they don't know what their scope of work is. They haven't run their numbers. So if I give them a price $5,000 over budget, they're going to say yes, right? So it both work ways. Scope of work is very important. It avoids miscommunication. When the contractor goes in there, he knows exactly what he needs to do with his guys. His guys know exactly what to do, and there's not an issue. Drawings, layouts. If you want a certain kitchen done a certain way, have a kitchen layout. So when the guys go in there, and if you're going to redo the kitchen, they know, okay, originally the gas stove was going to be here. Now the gas stove is getting moved to this side. Okay, we were going to leave the fridge on this side, but now the fridge is going to be moved on this side. Now we're going to get 42-inch uppers instead of 36-inch uppers. Okay, now the investor wants an overhang. Before he didn't want an overhang. So it's very important that you guys have some type of direct information for the contractors to know. This will avoid delays on your project. This will avoid confusion on your project. This will avoid money being lost in the project. Why? Because if the contractor decides to do a kitchen layout like he normally does for every other investor, but this guy decides he wants it different, now he damaged the cabinets, so now he's going to end up having to buy more cabinets that you didn't have to because they damaged the cabinet. So there's a lot of stuff that gets involved with that. I'm going to give you guys 2 quick examples why it's very important to have layouts and drawings. I was doing projects for an investor, and his wife would get involved all the time in the projects. My guys would do the tile for the bathroom. She would come in the middle of the tile work and be like, oh, I don't like that action strip here now. Mike, now I want the action strip to be running up. In the middle of the tile work, you guys know what's getting right behind the tile? The mortar, VersaBound, all that stuff that you put in the tile. So now it sticks. Now you have to retake it off and redo it again. Why? Because they never brought a layout and say, this is what I want on my bathrooms to be done this exact way. They came in and they decided to say, oh, I don't want it this way. Now I want it a different way. It caused confusion. From a contractor aspect, the employee who's doing the work, now he deflates his spirit because he's almost done with the work. Now he's got to tear it up and do it over again. Imagine how will you feel if somebody did that to you? Yes, at the end of the day, the investor's going to pay. Once again, it's costing him money, but at the same time, it's costing the contractor time. So it's very important that you have layouts, kitchen designs, everything like that if you're going to want to be efficient in regards to clear communication in your process. Another one is sign a contract. I cannot state this enough. What happened to my dad? I just told you guys a story that just happened to him. He didn't sign a contract. Guys went in there, didn't finish the demo, $1,000 short. Why? Because he never signed a contract. Very important, have a clear scope of work, have clear direction on how you want the layout of the kitchen, the bathrooms, of your design, if you're going to change stuff, but also sign a contract. Get it notarized. Get a signature in there that's going to help you in case something goes wrong. Payments. Another thing about clear communication, payments. I cannot stress this enough about payments. Are you paying the contractor weekly? Are you paying him bi-weekly? Just because you're used to in corporate America getting a paycheck every week or getting a paycheck every 2 weeks? Or are you paying him by phases? Are you paying him by how he is doing the type of work? Are you paying him, let's say, just for the demo? Okay, I'm going to cut you a check for demo. Am I going to pay you a percentage? Very important that you put that down in your contract on how you're going to pay, because the contractor might have a certain expectation, but the investor has a different expectation, right? Because we all think differently. So in order for both parties, once again, like we illustrated during the presentation at the beginning, they don't fight against each other. You need to have clear processes, and one of them is how you're going to pay them, because when people don't get paid, what happens? They get mad, they get angry, furious. Why? Because they're messing with their money. So on both sides, investor, contractor, please write it down in paper.
Is it wise to actually pay up,
A percentage up in front?
up front? Is it wise to do that if you don't know the contractor? Should you all right, I'm gonna pay you when you start work, okay? And then you get this amount of money, and then after you finish, then it's that.
What would you want to do that? What would you want to pay somebody up front for something they haven't started? Will you pay your mechanic up in front for him starting your car?
Well,
You pay him for the parts, right? So you pay him for parts, and I say, hey Steve, I need $50 to go get the alternator out of something. That's understandable. So what I used to do when I was an investor, and they would say, hey, I need money up in front to buy material, I'll meet you at Home Depot. I'll pay for it. And I'll get to that in regards to materials in a minute. But I would never give a contractor money up in front. It's a big red flag. And I'm on both sides, so I'm not just trying to be negative in regards to contractor, right, Jim? Jim's been around in business for a long time. One of my guys I get advice from too all the time. Yes, sir.
It's also a really good idea to make sure that the work is up to code. In case that when the inspectors come in, if it's not right, they're covering it.
We'll get that to in a minute. Permits. We'll talk about that in a minute, but yes. But going back to Steve's question, I would not give a contractor money up front. Unless you have a relationship. Once again, we talked about relationships, right? If you have built a relationship, and Larry, who's an electrician, and he wants to get paid money up in front to get the project started, to get a little bit of money for advance, and I know Larry, since college days is 1999, I'll be like, okay, Larry, I'll cut you a check because I know you're reliable. But once again, going back to building a trust relationship, the investor contractor. If you have that relationship, and you're very darn good sure he's not going to take your money, then I would say, okay, how much you need, $1,000, $2,000. There might be a situation where you have to go most up in front. I want to see your work done first before I pay you. Very good question, though. All right, we talked about money. We talked about payments. Let's talk about materials. What is another clear communication and process for materials? Who's going to buy the materials? Is it going to be the investor? Is it going to be the contractor? Is the investor going to have the materials ordered and delivered to the job site? Or is the contractor going to go to the pro desk because the investor has an account and buy the material? That is very important who buys the material, because what happens? As a young entrepreneur, as a young real estate guy back in the 2000s, I would send somebody to fix my house, and they would come back. You know what they would say to me, buddy? I have 5 receipts here from Menards, and I have 6 receipts here from Home Depot, and I have a receipt from ABC Supply and Ace Hardware Store at the end of the project. And next thing I started adding up the numbers, and there was $5,000 in material that I have not what? Budgeted, accounted for. So it's very important that you decide who's, how, when, the material. You might like to be cheap and buy stuff, at freaking Hobo. I don't know if they're still open at Hobo. And the contractor likes to be expensive. He likes to go to Shillings all the time. You know what I'm talking about, folks? This is important stuff, because then your budget goes over. And if your budget goes over, you cannot be in the business of flipping houses or renting houses or trailer parks or whatever, commercial, whatever real estate you're in, whatever brand you're in. Because there's no control. Take control of the situation and set processes. Decision maker. Oh, this is a good one. I got a juicy story for this. Adrian was telling me, Mike, say the good, the bad, and the ugly. Here's the juicy one. Who's going to be the decision maker? There has to be structure in every company, and one of the biggest communication breakdowns I have encountered, there are too many chiefs, enough Indians. Meaning everyone wants to say their input during a project, and sometimes no one wants to be the final decision maker. Have you guys ever gone through that? Corporate America, working for somebody else, contractor? I'll give you a good example. So-and-so calls me and says, Mike, I have a house in Gary. I would like for you to rehab it for me. I show up with the CEO of the company, huge real estate company. I do the walkthrough. I take my notes. They give me the scope of work. We start rehabbing the property. My guys call me up and says, Mike, I have the construction manager here. He says that we're not supposed to do the tile this way in the bathroom. Actually, we're doing the wrong tile. That was the tile that was in the house. I tried to get a hold of the CEO. Of course, he's speaking somewhere out of state, so I cannot get a hold of him. So I contact the construction manager. He says, oh no, this is not the tile that we normally use for our houses. I said, well, your CEO told me, your boss, he told me that that was the tile that was there in the house, and it was good for me to use it. He goes, well, he's wrong. Then guess who gets involved? The project manager comes in. By that time, I'm driving over there. I'm making a U-turn. I was headed to another meeting. I'm driving over there. I said, man, this is going to get juicy. I get over there. Sure enough, the project manager says, Mike, go ahead. This is the leftover tile we had, and we just want to deplete this lot, so go ahead and use this. And I look both at the construction manager and the project manager. I said, so who's right? The CEO, you the construction manager, or who the project manager? I said, I want that in writing. Because what happens if I put that tile? It's my fault, because the CEO is going to say, this is what I told you. I don't care what the construction manager said, the project manager said. You dealt with me directly. Oh, this gets juicier. We're almost done at the end of the rehab. We're putting the kitchen cabinets. They gave us the hardware that was there. My guys start drilling the holes, right, for the hardware. You guys know the handles, the nice oil bronze handles everybody uses, you know, the brushed nickel. We start making those holes. Well, we have a template for that. The wife of the CEO comes in. Oh, that's not the hardware that we're using. Tells my guys. My guys call me up. There I go back again. No, this is not the hardware. We're using something else. I already had told so-and-so. I gotta be careful, I don't spell out the names here. I already told so-and-so. No, I'm gonna have my secretary bring you the stuff. Once again, I call the project manager, the construction manager. I send both of them a text, like a blast text, because the CEO was nowhere to be found now. What's going on here? We'll get back to you. 2 hours later, nothing. 3 hours later, and my guys are there waiting, right? I pull them from the project, go work somewhere else. The following day, they go back to work. They finally gave me some information. The project manager brings me the hardware for the kitchen cabinets. Guess what it was? The single knobs, right? What have my guys done already? 2 holes to each cabinet. I need a Snicker. So whose fault is it now? Oh, the secretary comes in. The secretary has the audacity to come in. Short little Asian lady. Oh no, you guys are doing this wrong, this and that. We're supposed to use this hardware. I said, you know what, ma'am? I said, I didn't do the contract with you. I already spoke to the construction manager. I already spoke to the project manager. I said, y'all got to get your together. But that's the things that happens. Too many chiefs and what? Exactly. It creates chaos. It creates a delay in the project because they were not organized. A big corporation, big time real estate guys. But when it came down to execution level, it was everybody and their mother wanted to be involved. So, part of this clear communication process, be specific to the contractor. All right, now you're going to deal with this guy, and there could be different people involved. I totally understand that. Okay, I'll give you an example. Al Perez from Prefer Homes. He comes in and he gets involved in the project and says, Mike, this is the scope of work I want, and this is how I want to get it done. Then he's got his project manager. Boyce comes in and tells my guys, I don't like the mirror this way, I want it to switch it this way. But I've done enough houses with Al Perez that I know that Al Perez doesn't like his mirrors being too stuck to if there's a soffit, so we have to turn them around from an aesthetic look. So if his project manager comes and tells one of my guys, hey, I don't want it this way, I know we're in one accord because we're on the same page because we already done this pattern so many times. So we're fine. But when you have different people coming in and telling you how to do different rehabs on part of the project, it's going to mess up the mojo, like I like to call it. Number 3, SOPs that helps projects run efficiently. How many people here work for corporate America? Raise your hands, I can't see anybody. Come on. Participate. All right, a good 60% of the group. How many people used to work for corporate America? If you work for a legit corporate America business, they have what? Standard operators. Now, you know what? You get Kit Kat because you've been very participant in our group. Okay, you're going to get the $5. You drink coffee? The last $5, this lady's been phenomenal. Don't have to, she's been cheering me on. I don't know you. I want to take you with me to the job sites. She's been cheering me on the whole time. I love that. She gets it. We've been on the same page. Seriously. Standard operating procedures. If you're going to be a real estate investor and you want to be out there and make it happen and you want to run Maryville like El Perez does, have standard operating procedures. It's very important. It doesn't matter if you're flipping one house or you're flipping 100 houses, because if you're flipping one house, do you plan to stay just flip one house? No, what do you want to do? You want to continue flipping houses. So the more you flip, the bigger you get, the more you're going to need what? Standard operating procedures. I'm going to run through this. How much time I got, Adrian?
5.
I got 5 minutes and I got a bunch of notes. I'm going to hurry up here. I keep messing with this, right? Here we go. The last one. Permits. Who's responsible for pulling permits? Is the investor going to get the permits? Is the GC or the individual sub? There's been projects that we go in there, and I'm working with an electrician. I'm working with a plumber. Who's going to pull the electric permit? Who's going to go over there and submit the paperwork? Because if you go to certain towns or villages, the GC cannot get his permit into the electrical guy, goes over there and submits his paperwork. Once everybody has submitted their paperwork, then everybody could get their permits. So I'm going to go through this very quickly. Have all utilities, including water, to be active before demo begins. I've been to job sites, and we need water. We need electricity to get our tools hooked up, and there's no utilities on. How do you expect the guys to be efficient if the utilities are not on? That's one of the SOPs to have. Dumpsters. Who's going to order the dumpster? Is it going to be the investor, or is it going to be the contractor? And if it's the investor, which person from his team is going to order the dumpster? Have SOW, which is your standard scope of work. Your designs, your layouts of the projects be finalized before you go in to start the rehab. Make a material list for the contractor so they know exactly what the order is going to be, material was going to be ordered. If there's a work order change, who's going to confirm it and how long it's going to take before the confirmation? Work order changes. We're in the middle of a rehab. We're in the middle of a rehab, and we find out that we cannot put the soapbox like this investor wants it right in the center of the bathroom because you have your venting pipe running right there. So we need a work order change because either A, we eliminate it, or B, we find another place to put it at. So if the investor doesn't respond to me, they're not communicative, it could delay the project, or we could have a plumbing issue. Hey, I don't do this type of plumbing. Who are you going to hire so-and-so? Jimmy, I'm going to use Jim as an example. He's a good friend of mine. Jim, who are you going to hire to come into the plumbing? Do I have to find the plumber as a subcontractor, or is the investor going to bring in the plumber to do the work? So it's very important that we have a process with work order changes. Inventory control. I cannot stress enough, as a young real estate investor and now as a contractor, inventory control is very important. Why?
Where the money's at.
Exactly. You have 20 slab doors sitting in the garage. You have all your vanities sitting in the garage, and they're barely starting demo. Why do we have all this stuff there if they barely started demo? It creates what? Like he said, people could be stealing. It could be the subcontractors. It could be the employees of the contractor. It could be somebody from the neighborhood breaking in. Control your inventory, just like you do in corporate America. Inventory control is very key in running a successful project. And when do you bring the product in for the contractor to be ready to start installing it? Don't bring me 200 sheets of drywall when I just started demo yesterday. Right? I still got to do my framing. I still got to do my electrical roughing, my plumbing roughing. I still got to pass those inspections. Then I got to come in and do my installation. Then I need my drywall. You know what I'm talking about? All right. I'm not going to step too much on that. Key areas that will help maximize your investment. I got 1 minute, Adrian. I'm going to go through this very quick. And if you guys want to talk about this afterwards, I have all the notes here. I can email it to you guys. Curb appeal. Curb appeal. You don't have to go in there, Adrian likes to say, spend $10,000 on landscaping. That's not going to bring you profitability. Okay? Here are areas that will help maximize your investment. Don't go in there spending $10,000 in plants. Clean the shrubs, put some mulch, power wash the house, make it look presentable. Repair any damaged fence. I cannot stress enough how many people put houses on the market and the freaking fences are falling down. Curb appeal, right? What is it when the people first come into your house to buy the house? The house, right? The front of it. If the house looks crappy, maybe how did they do the inside of it? But at the same time, don't spend too much money that you could use that to maximize in other areas. There's got to be a balance. Install light fixtures. They fix the whole house from the front of the house. They put new windows. Have you seen those houses? You see them all the time on Facebook. Somebody, realtor, gets like sign and says, look at this beautiful house. and then they have the old light fixture hanging down. Put some new light fixtures. They don't cost a lot. The twin pack M&Rs, $29.99. You can get 2 of those. Paint your house neutral colors. Don't be HD TV and go in there and start painting all these accent colors and have your painter paint 5 different colors in the whole house because it brings your budget what? Way up. Neutral colors. Everybody's doing. The market is hot right now. Because the market is hot, you could get away with painting the house pink and you probably sell the house. Don't go that crazy either. Invest in your kitchen. I cannot stress. Ladies love kitchens, even men nowadays. They want to be chefs. I like to cook myself. I like to throw down for my wife, put some salsa and tacos. I make some nice tacos for her. Invest in your kitchen. You come in, they have this beautiful kitchen and no backsplash. Not even the backsplash from the granite. Or they put this really nice cabinet and they put what? Laminated countertops from 1997 from Menards. Put some granite. Yeah. It's not that expensive. $20 a square feet. Invest in your bathrooms. If you can, put some decent tile. They're not that expensive. If you cannot invest in tile, put a decent tubs around. Don't leave the old tubs around. I've been with investors like, I want to rehab the house, and then they leave the old nasty tubs around that is all yellow and nasty stain. They want you to caulk it and power wash it and make it nice again for them. Oh, here's a good one. Here's the juicy one, Adrian. Invest in your flooring. Don't be buying like every other investor, the cheap 89 cents Saratoga. Sorry, Home Depot, I love you guys, but the cheap Saratoga flooring from 89 cents from Home Depot that every investor and their mother is flipping out there. Invest in some decent flooring because that's when the people first come in. I love what Adrian and Justin does. They put some really nice vinyl flooring when you first come in. I like what Prefer Homes do. They put some really nice high-end flooring. When people walk in, people will see that, especially if you're rehabbing a what? An older house where the joists are not the best, where the subflooring is not the best, you're going to feel what as you walk? Yes, squeaking, all that laminated flooring. Why? Because they put the cheapest stuff that they could find out there. Install decent carpet. Don't try to flip a house and be a rental guy. Put the cheapest, thick, nasty carpet that you put when you rent a house for $2.50 when you could put something decent for $7.50. People will notice that when they walk to the bedroom. They'll notice if it has enough plush or not. Put half-inch padding. Lighting.
I always thought people were going to basically change their carpeting anyways, most likely, to what they like. So why put it in?
Well, if you're investing $20, $30, a typical rehab costs about $55,000, a decent typical rehab. So you're going to invest $55,000 in a rehab and put the cheapest carpet. People are going to notice that. Might as well budget it in. It's not that expensive anymore like back in the days. Lighting. I cannot stress enough about lighting. Put some recessed lights when you walk in. You walk in and the house is all, dark and dingy because you have to turn the dining room so you finally get some lighting when you walk into a rehab. Invest in your lighting. Don't have to get expensive and buy $500 chandelier, but you could buy something for $129 at Menards. Who buys lighting from Menards? Who buys lighting from Home Depot? Oh, we got to talk afterwards. Home Depot, I love Home Depot, but their lighting stinks. Menards has better lighting, and the pricing is right there. It's right there. If you have a ranch with a basement, finish your basement, install a legal bedroom, put an egress window. Oh, here's a good one. Don't leave your old wood windows. Put some vinyl windows. You rehab the whole house and you have this nasty wooden windows that you could barely open up, especially right now that it's summertime. The freaking latch don't work. The glass is cracked. Right? Have you seen those type of rehabs? Invest in these windows. They're not expensive as they used to be. And clean your garage. Clean your garage. Don't let your contractors leave all their tools behind. You have material everywhere. The other day, I went to a house that I rehabbed for Justin and Adrian, Cedar Lake House. And we had swept a section of the debris and we left it in the corner. And we went back for the inspection. And I felt so bad. I went to the store and picked something up to finish cleaning that for them because it was in the garage. It has a lot to do when you walk into a house, when you're showing it. I mean, little stuff like that makes a difference. I cannot emphasize the importance of a good mutual working relationship between investor and contractor. It can be challenging, because I don't have a lot of hair left. But at the end, the results are very rewarding if we can work as a what? As a team. And if you learn anything tonight from me, from my humor, my crazy stories, I could tell you a ton of stories. If you ever want to take me out for a drink, I don't mind. I'll tell you more stories. I like Jack and Coke. Gentleman's Jack, please. Good cigar too, brother. I know you like cigars. I saw that. But I cannot emphasize, if you learn anything tonight, building relationships, teamwork, helping each other out, because at the end of the day, it's very rewarding from both ends, from Adrian if he flips the house, and from my end, if I rehab a house for Adrian, because I'm profitable, I keep my overhead on my guys, and Adrian's profitable because he's making money. Thank you, guys. I have 2 Kit Kats left. There you go.
Hey, stay up here for a second. We got some Q&A.
Uh-oh.
We got about... I'll do this side. I'll start with Larry.
Hey, just so you know, I cut a lot of my notes. Just so you know, I could be here talking for hours.
The PowerPoint will be on the website, so if you're a member, give us a couple of days. We'll have the video and the PowerPoint on the website.
I didn't have a question. I was raising my hand for the Kit Kat.
Larry, me on drinks tonight. I'll give you drinks tonight, better than Kit Kat, Larry.
Mike, I just had a question about the scope of work.
Yes, sir.
I know you said that we should have a scope of work. Do you want to see the investor have a scope of work in writing, or do you want to put your own scope of work?
I like to do both. Unless you already build a relationship. Once again, building a relationship works because then I know how, if you deal with the same investor, you pretty much know how they want their rehabs done. But if you're dealing with a first-time investor, you put your own proposal and have them show them your proposal. I mean, have them send you a proposal. Because then you know where you're aligned. Some investors like detailed proposals where they're like, how much for drywall, how much for this, a detailed proposal, and some don't. Some just say, hey, give me a total scope. But yeah, I would say if you're a first-time investor, you're in a relationship, do both. Once you dealt with somebody for a long time, you can tell it's just a bunch of copy and paste, because a lot of the stuff that we do is pretty much the same, unless it's a totally different layout of a house. Yes, sir.
What's the best way to keep the contractor on track time-wise? Punch lists, calendars, you know?
If it's a new contractor, a lot of babysitting, just like you do with your employees. You ever work in a dock, you have to be on this guy and say, hey man, that truck needs to get loaded in 15 minutes because I got the next truck coming in. I used to run a big operation for C.H. Robinson. When I used to travel worldwide, I used to have to deal with Asian people, Hispanics, Canadians, and people in the U.S. Culture shock, totally different. And I had to learn is building relationships. How do you get your guys to work on time? Employee morale. I treat all my guys like they all work for me, even if they're not, even if they're subs. I'll take them out. I'll buy them pizza. I'll buy donuts and coffee once a month. Recently somebody, their wife gave birth, and he's one of my subcontractors. Actually, his son, a wife gave birth, and they do gutters for us, and I bought him a gift. But that's some of the ways that you could keep this guy on track, because now you build a relationship. He knows that he cannot disappoint you. It's that trust factor. And he'll do whatever it takes to get that project done. I'll tell you this, I'll be very, very honest with you. I did a house for Adrian and Justin in Cedar Lake. And they were worried I wasn't going to execute because I was delaying the project a little bit during phase 6 or week 6 to week 8. But I cranked it up and I got it done in time. You know, in building that relationship, I didn't want to disappoint them, so I cranked it up and I got the house done on a timely manner. So it's working with those contractors.
I also have a penalty in my contract, especially for new guys, that if they don't get it done on the date that we agree, we hit them for $100 a day. So someone like Mike that we've used many, many times now, I don't have to have that in there. But on some of the flips we have coming up where we're going to try new people, it'll definitely be in there.
Yeah, you know, you hold them accountable. And nobody wants to lose money, right? Once again, hurt their pocketbook, and they'll be there. Now, there's people that they really don't care. Like the guys who left my dad hanging. But they don't know who their son is, so wait till I get to meet them.
There's a question for you right here.
Right, Sam?
$1,000 deposit 6 months ago. Well, rather than about people that have worked on that now, it just keeps problems. I call it every once in a while. I'm going to do nothing.
Go to Lake, is it from Lake County? Go to Lake County.
Okay.
Go to Lake County and get your money. Go to the clerk's office.
Oh, the clerk's office?
File civil lawsuit against them.
Okay.
Now, I'm not an attorney, okay? Let me disclose that right now. I'm not here to give you any legal advice, but if it was me personally, somebody screwed me over like that, The old Mike Andrade would be like, oh, it's okay, but not it's okay anymore. You work so hard for your money. Anything that is, that people take away from you is your livelihood.
Was that contractor licensed in that town that you did the work in?
Well, he's got a legal contract right there.
Yeah, but if they're licensed, go talk to the building commissioner for that town and they'll raise an issue with that person too.
Yeah.
Oh, they're fine.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't have time to cover it, but every new contractor get their liability certificate of liability, COI, get their Lake County bond, and have them put you as a holder. The Westlake subdivision houses that I'm doing right now, the new builders, that's new relations that I started building with them. They have me, they asked me to add them as the holder, as a certificate holder, correct. So now it protects them to some extent. I didn't get to cover that in my notes, I have so much, I'm sorry. But that's another thing to protect yourself.
Any other quick questions?
They just forgot to mention that the quality has to be according to this building, and to the building permit, and the building code of the city. Sometimes some people, they don't abide the building, the quality work is doesn't go with the building.
Correct, that's why when you hire the contractor, you ask him, was one of my points, who's gonna get the permit? If he's gonna get the permit, he needs to go through inspections. He needs to show you that he passed the inspections. If he passed the inspections, that means he's abiding by the code from that town or that village because he passed the inspections. There's rough-in inspections, there are final inspections. Every village in town is different. Yeah, but when somebody comes like the new, like you go to an attorney and you want to give an advice to an attorney, you go to a professional so he can lead you in the right direction, and you can help the new investor or somebody who already have a lot of experience, so you can make a good choice about what is the best to get the permits. If you're a contractor, you have to get the permits, and you have to tell them what are the permits that you can get and which permit you can get. So it's like correct. It's a mutual relation, like what I talked about. The contractor, if he wants to build a long-term relationship with the investor, he's going to tell the investor, hey, Adrian, in this particular town of Maryville, I need to put the general contractor. I'm always very honest with the people. I said I'm a general contractor. I am not, an electrician or a plumber. I'm a general contractor, and I can put the permit for you. But as an investor contractor, he'll say, okay, who's going to be yourself for electric? Who's going to be yourself for plumber? But that's why there's that communication where the contractor says, here's what I can do with the permits. But also the investor needs to do his research and know what time he wants to do the rehab and make sure the permits are being pulled. So it's a two-way relationship.
Awesome. Thanks again, Mike. Nice to bring everyone drinks tonight, so let's go back to Yes, I was there last week for the bourbon dinner. That was fantastic. Who has a deal if you want to talk about? We do have a table back there. If you're a wholesaler and you have a deal, you can print out a flyer and leave it on that. I don't see any back there, so I guess nobody's finding anything. But does anyone have a deal they want to talk about? Something you have under contract you bought, not something that you have in the pipeline?
Hi, I have a deal in Griffith. I'm asking $75,000 for it. It's a 3-bedroom, 3 bathrooms. Housing about 50, 55, ARB, close to 170. So if you guys are interested, you can talk.
Yes. Mike? Oh. Who else has something that they want to get rid of? Me, joint venture, any agents with investor properties, anyone looking for anything? Now is your time to say it. Going, moving on. So next month, we don't have a specific speaker lined up yet. Working with a couple of folks out of Chicago that do 1031s. Want to have someone come here and talk about the 1031 exchanges, because now that the market is hot, great time to sell, roll that money into another property, delay the capital gains on that. We're also going to have a rental panel. I think we did that about 2 years ago, where we had a property manager and a couple of rental owners up here, Q&A. So those are some of the things coming up over the next couple of months. Again, if you're not part of that Facebook group, you definitely want to join that. There's lots of good information on that. We have the meeting room here for another hour, so grab a few folks and build your network. But thanks for coming. We'll see you next month.